Hey everybody, what's up? I hope your day's going well so far. Thank you for spending a little chunk of it here with me. In this video, I just love stuff like this. Like, I am such a makeup nerd. I actually think it's really fun to talk about some of these products that are almost a little nostalgic. And with some of these, I think you're gonna be saying, they still make that? Wow. We're talking older drugstore stuff that I have actually turned up fairly recently. Now, I love when people do like the full face of nothing new, but honestly, a lot of times they'll do those and it'll be stuff that came out like just last year. And to me, that doesn't seem that old anymore. But the interesting thing is people really aren't talking about the stuff from a year ago as much anymore. So that video is interesting, but this is really old stuff, like really old school. So let's jump in. I'm really pumped about this. Here's one. This would be the first, like I swear, the first foundation-y type product, tinted moisturizer I ever used. So we're going back to as far back as I can remember. I would say this was junior high maybe. Right now it's called CG Smoothers BB, and I know they weren't calling it BB back then, but it really was a similar size tube. And this is a tinted moisturizer plus sunscreen, SPF 21. I have it in light to medium. I'm pretty sure I had it in light to medium back in the day. 10-in-1 instant skin enhancer. I should really take it back old school and apply this with my fingers, which no doubt was the only way I was putting it on back then. But as I was recently playing around with this, I used a dense brush and I actually liked the coverage a little better. It's a really lightweight coverage product, guys. But it's kind of the drugstore OG tinted moisturizer, BB cream. Like, I'm no spring chicken here. It wasn't just yesterday that I was in middle school. So I'm gonna get this blended in. You do get moisture from this. I've still moisturized underneath because I'm going through a real dry period right now with my skin and sun exposure. And I think pregnancy and chlorine from the pool, like it's all combining to sort of dry out my skin. So I definitely moisturized underneath, but this does kind of perk up my skin tone just a little bit, but the coverage is so light, like you truly see all your stuff through it still. Just from an overall perspective, I think it's a little bit brightening. But yeah, it's crazy. They still make that. CoverGirl will be one of those brands that will hold on to some stuff, and you'll see an eye product in a little bit where you're like, oh my gosh, really? Yeah, they will manage to keep some stuff afloat. They may repackage it or rename it, but we all know. Okay, here's my concealer, and this one is not gonna come as a shock to anybody. This has been on the market for a long time. I remember people raving about this during the earlier days of YouTube, and it continues to be a best-selling thing in this line. So I think that's really cool that it's had that kind of longevity considering all of the different concealer releases over time. But I'm gonna use it today. I don't think it was all that long ago that I did use this stuff, and it's my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I've got it in the brightener shade. This one, you can see about how much I've used. I don't have that much left, but it's got that kind of pinky brightening tone. And we're just gonna be applying this over lots of different areas of the face. We're gonna hit the inner corner dark circle-y area. We'll just see exactly what this can do because frankly that tinted moisturizer doesn't do a whole lot. And I'm gonna go ahead and use my beauty blender to blend this out. I've always liked the consistency of this concealer because I felt like it had coverage, but at the same time, it was not too thick and it never stayed looking thick or unattractive, you know, on the under eye area. But this brightener shade is really brightening, is it not? We're applying a lot of it too. I would love to know in the comments section how many different products from this video you remember using at some point in time, or do you still use to this day? I know some are gonna be more popular than others, but it's just kind of surprising that all of them are still sold. Okay, I'm feeling so brightened up. That concealer did a ton of work for me here. I mean, it did stuff for my under eye. It even went around redness, which that kind of concealer, I wouldn't even really mean for it to do that typically. But yeah, I'm feeling way, way brightened up all over. Now, here's something that I featured recently in a little Instagram picture, and this is gonna take some of y'all way back. I'm talking earliest days of my YouTube channel, back to around 2008-ish. Maybelline Mineral Power. The mineral craze was like on fire at that time when this came out. I've got this in classic ivory. The whole line runs a little dark, comes with a miniature little buffing brush, but it says Natural Perfecting Powder Foundation, and it was kind of like their answer to Bare Minerals. And I do remember using this and thinking this was one of the better options from the drugstore. Drugstore. Heck, I'm gonna use their little brush that came with it. I mean, why not? I've tapped out some. I'm gonna really swirl it up into my brush, just like Bare Minerals style. And I'm gonna basically buff this in all over the skin. This powder really does carry some coverage, and I like kind of layering it up over something more lightweight. And I'll sometimes do that with Bare Minerals as well, but this was a recent repurchase. I was like, I want to reinvestigate this. I linked in one of my old ass reviews on this product. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I feel like it needs to be reevaluated because I've become a little bit, I think, more skilled with using Bare Minerals. So I wanted to retry this stuff, and I'm gonna be messing with it more just 100% on its own with no coverage underneath. This brush is honestly kind of rough though. I'm not really enjoying that part of the experience, but I am seeing my face gain a little more coverage and a little more mattification through this. Tell you what, I'm gonna build it up just a tiny bit more, but I'm gonna use my e.l.f. complexion brush now. I've done kind of a pinpointed buff. And now, oh, that feels 10 times softer. I'm just gonna blend this in all over. You'll notice I'm not getting too heavy on the under eye because I don't wanna make that nice brightened area too dark. Mineral Power. I was also noticing at Walmart they still sell a finishing powder. I know at one time they used to do some really pretty blushes in this line. I used to have a bronzer too. And L'Oreal still makes their minerals as well. If you go to Walmart, you know, not every store stocks these lines as fully, but Walmart tends to have everything. Okay, so in a roundabout way, we've established some coverage here with a little BB cream, a little concealer, and some mineral powder. Now we're gonna move on to an OG bronzer kind of highlighter combo, and it is the Physicians Formula Shimmer Strips. Yes, they do still make these, and this is the Waikiki strip. It's the Peachy Glow one, and you can see all the different levels of intensity. You can go up to the top and get like a really nice light kind of shimmer. You can get a deeper bronze on the skin, and so I'm gonna go for a little shimmery bronze first. I'm only gonna focus my brush toward the bottom. And this is another thing I remember having way back in my earliest makeup using days, because I remember reading about this type of product a lot in my teen magazines, you know, my 17 and YM and whatever it was. Wasn't there one called Teen People? I felt like I had a lot. This was always being talked about there. And that was how things got on my radar. And a lot of you guys probably feel the same. Before you had videos on the internet to watch, like this was how information flowed, right? About makeup products. You'd see them kind of getting buzzed about as the editor's picks in 17 or something. So I'm kind of giving myself a little definition here. This is really deep actually, this bronzer shade, but it's kind of nice and cool. And it's managing to kind of contour me up rather nicely. Physicians Formula, definitely as far as highlighting goes, Physicians Formula was one of those brands that was doing it first, I feel like. Now I'll go kind of in the middle and let some of this sweep up over on top of the cheeks. Give myself a little color everywhere. And I think we'll come back to this for the highlighting, but first I'm gonna do some blush. The L'Oreal True Match blushes. And I realized I was looking at their whole selection, and sometimes you kind of just see this packaging and they've got so many compacts because they got all the shades of the True Match powder nearby too. And you kind of glaze over and you don't really stop and look at the different colors. And I looked up close and I was like, wow, they got some really pretty colors. So I picked up Sweet Ginger, which is this kind of, it's labeled as a neutral shade, but it's a little bit warmer and it's got a little bit of a glow to it. And then I also grabbed Tender Rose, which is one of the cool shades. So you can see our options there. They both, like I said, have a little glow. The only time I think I've tried this in the past, I had a really light shade that was almost too light to show on my skin, and then I don't think I really looked into the line much further. So I'm gonna try the Sweet Ginger today. Look at that pretty warm glow. It's a nice summery glow, great with a bronzy look. It's blushy, but not too standard blush looking, you know what I mean? You know I love a little shimmer in my blush as well. It's pigmented, but it's not the kind of thing, like it's not so dark that you really gotta watch yourself super closely on the application. But I think I always saw those blushes as being like a little more expensive compared to say a CoverGirl Cheekers, which yes, you know they still make cheekers and instant cheekbones and I love those. But I always thought of those True Match blushes as being like, oh, you're gonna have to pay a little more to get one of those, and I kind of overlooked them for a long time. Now we're gonna go back to our our Physicians Formula Waikiki strip, and I'm only going to focus on the top 2 rows to give ourselves a little glow here. I don't think it's going to be too intense because these shades, you know, have a hint of depth to them actually, but they're still shimmery. That did something for me. It's fun to think back, like, who did it first? Who really had the first highlighters you remembered? For me, I think it's Physicians Formula. Who had the first, like, eyeshadows you became obsessed with? I used a lot of CoverGirl, and in the early days of my YouTube channel, CoverGirl was really kind of improving things. Like, they were in the process of, I think, kind of changing formulas and getting a little bit more intensity with their eyeshadows, which I liked. A little highlight here on the Cupid's bow. As usual, brows were kind of the forgotten thing in this process, kind of the thing where I'm like, I didn't really think about buying anything that I thought was really old, and I don't know that I own anything currently that would really fall into that category. Oh, except the clear brow gel from CoverGirl. I can definitely work that into today's look. But I'm just gonna go ahead and fill those in for a second, and then I'll be back for the eye look. Brows are done. All I did, I used my e.l.f. Instant Lift, the $2 brow pencil in deep brown, and I did use that CoverGirl professional clear mascara or brow gel, and I put on some Milani eyeshadow primer. I don't know if that gets to qualify as an older product. By a lot of people's standards, I guess it would, but I don't think my timeline of using it has gone back nearly as far as some of these other things have. So it's time for eyeshadow, and in the era that I think a lot of these products originated from, we weren't running into a lot of big palettes, were we? Definitely not in the drugstore. It was more about the quads, the duos, the trios, and I was just digging through my stash and also confirming that yes, indeed, these products are still made. And I found my CoverGirl Urban Basics quad. I know Shimmering Sands, I talk about that one a lot. I still have that. I still love that. I still feel like Shimmering Sands is one of the quintessential, like, training eyeshadow quads to start with, but this one may be right up there for some people. It was a little later in life when I finally tried Urban Basics, but I continue to own it to this day, and they still do make it. So I'm gonna go to this shade right in here. Love a good old school quad. Let's see how it does, because honestly, it's been a while for this one. So we got kind of this taupey shade. I feel like this is going to end up being kind of a cool look. I mean, that's just the overall color scheme. But yeah, Shimmering Sands would be such an easy pick for this, but I feel like I've done some what's sold at the drugstore type videos before, and that's always like star of the show, so let's let somebody else shine for a minute. I'm like that, you know, products have feelings. Some of you understand. Okay, so I've got that one shade in my crease. It's really light, but it is doing something. I think maybe I need a little more over here. It's got shimmer. All these shades have shimmer. This one seems kind of matte over here, this kind of dusty bluish shade. Get that all blended in there. I think I'll use some of this pinky color. It's got a little pink in it. And let that kind of dust over the border. Maybe become like a highlight. And then, you know, I'm going to pull in some sponge tip here for this interesting kind of dusty blue shade. And I'm going to let this go all over my lid. It's a really soft blue, okay? So we're not going to see like anything super loud here, but it is showing up. This is so much fun. I am honestly having a blast doing this with you guys. It's really a pretty pigmented shade, to be honest. Like, I'm having no trouble building it up. I can see as it like kind of goes across the skin when I first apply it. A lot is laying down. A couple things I want to do is apply some of this taupe with a smaller brush, just to see if it can get any darker than it already is here in the outer corner. It can build up a little bit, that's cool. I'm not at all displeased with this look. And then I'm going to go into this light. This is kind of it's got some shimmer, but it doesn't have quite the chunky appearance that these two center shades seem to have. And see if that'll brighten the inner corner just a little at least. And then I think I will go with a pencil brush and back to our little taupe friend right here. And just let that lightly define the lower lash line, because I don't honestly think anything else in this palette is going to provide much definition for us here. I didn't think I had an eyeliner on hand for a minute, and then I found this perfect blend from CoverGirl, and this is in the basic black shade. I used this somewhat recently in a video. We'll see. It could not be a more traditional pencil, guys. You remember these. And then they had like the Perfect Point Plus, which would twist up. I also remember wearing a blue eyeliner on and off in high school. It was like kind of a navy blue shade. But there's this girl that I kind of looked up to, and she was always wearing blue eyeliner, so I dabbled in blue eyeliner for a little while. Before there were beauty influencers, or YouTubers, creators, whatever you want to call them, there was that one girl. We all know her. We all had her in our school. She was the influencer. This pencil, I gotta admit, it's a little dry. Like, it's not knocking my socks off here, but it is laying down product. I've managed to get all across the lash line. It is going on top of kind of, you know, a powdery shadow. My camera cut me off there, and I'm not sure exactly where it cut me off, but I was saying, like, I'm not sure I'm even gonna bother using the smudger tip on the other end to detensify this anymore, since it's already just, I think, a really soft black. I may see about putting this in the waterline a little bit, though. It's transferring in there. Okay, and then smudging it a little on the lower lash line. Now going to the smudger tip, I've kind of not only gone in the waterline, but between the lashes. You know, I like to do that, and I'll see if this tip can kind of help us blend now. And it is. Yeah, it's a little smoky there. I don't want anything looking too stark. I might go in with a little more of the taupe from this quad. And then for mascara, there are a lot of mascaras still out there that you may remember from your earliest makeup using days. I mean, CoverGirl still has a lot, like the Professional Lash Mascara in the blue tube, Remarkable. I think Maybelline still makes a Lash Discovery. Traditional L'Oreal Voluminous is still around. There's a lot, actually, to choose from in terms of old school mascaras. The oldest one that I had currently cracked open is probably Maybelline The Falsies. And as you may know, like, I'm kind of trying to minimize the amount of mascaras I have in my rotation. So this is the oldest mascara still in play that I currently have, so I'm gonna go for that today. And I've used it on and off, and I feel like I might be having a little more favorable opinion of it now than when I first opened the tube a while back. You do get a mirror in the bottom of these True Match blushes. Did anybody use Falsies like way back when it was new? I definitely did. I think I reviewed it on my channel when this was a new thing. Oh no, I messed up. I got a smudge. They first put out this, and then they put out like 5 or 6 different varieties of the Falsies, you know. Falsies this, the Falsies that. Okay, that comes right off. See, it's not too bad in terms of creating length and a little extra thickness. If you don't watch it, after a little while you might develop some funky ends if you keep building and building. They've got like a little joint in the wand that makes it kind of flexible. And there's a little curve to it, to the brush. It's still a little big and bunglesome. I'm having a few sloppiness issues. Might just be me. And what I will sometimes do if I have to go in with a Q-tip and I feel like I'm really rubbing, I'll go back to the eyeshadow I used. Like, this is kind of a lid issue here. And I'll just pick some of that up and re-intensify the shadow where I might have rubbed on it a little. Now for the lips. I picked up something specifically in the drugstore when I was looking around at Neutrogena stuff. I was like, I wonder if they have any shades I haven't tried of that revitalizing lip balm. And they have one called Fresh Plum. I love this kind of lip balm. I love the oval shape. I love the beautiful amount of moisture these apply. I mean, say what you want about Neutrogena makeup, but they have some incredible lip products. They know about moisture and hydration, I feel, and they definitely pack it into their lip colors. So let's see what this does on the lips. It's got a nice scent too. Lightly sweet but not obnoxious. You know, it's giving me kind of like a deep rusty vibe there on the lips. I've got a few other shades. I keep all of my tinted lip balms actually right over here. I had redone storage and put lip balms where they were more handy, and I have a Petal Glow, a Soft Caramel, and a healthy blush, but I did not have this plum shade, but I like that. It seems a little richer and more colorful than any of the others, actually. So here we are at the end of our look here. How do we feel? I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised at the way everything comes together, honestly, because this is a really light coverage look, but certain things layered up to, I feel like, you know, even if I look up closely at my skin, I'm pretty happy with the way everything looks. This BB cream is not heavy duty coverage at all. It's like super duper light coverage, and I feel like it does have its place in the makeup world. I mean, it was a great thing to start out using, I feel like, because before you're really skilled at blending and you really have no clue what you're doing, like you can't go too far wrong with that. And I am still gonna be working with this Maybelline Mineral Power a little bit just to see like how far can it go coverage wise, how much is it really comparing to Bare Minerals, just using it on its own a little more, but layering up over something lighter coverage, I think it does a really good job. Studs of this look though, I mean, this concealer really came in and gave a lot of coverage where coverage was needed. I love Physicians Formula shimmer strips. I wish they were more like easily found in all stores, because Physicians Formula is a really like up and down line. One random place will have a bigger stock, you know, another place won't have as much. These L'Oreal True Match blushes are a great rediscovery. Definitely a great line of blushes to look into. They've got a good range all the way from very, very soft blushes to deeper ones. These, I would say, both kind of fell somewhere in the middle. The Urban Basics, I mean, while not disappointing, I felt like it did what it should have done. Looking at the shadows in the pan and looking at the look that was created, I mean, is anybody really surprised? It pulled off a look there. If you like something cool, you might actually be into that. More than anything, it was just fun to bust out something that I definitely remember from the good old days. I did not love the eyeliner. I felt like just a certain level of dryness going across the skin there. I think you can come up with better from the drugstore for sure. The falsies, not a bad mascara. Look at the length that I actually ended up achieving there. It's not too bad. And I've had this one on hand for a little while, so I feel like it's not weighing my lashes down quite as much as it once was when it was new. Sorry guys, my hair isn't quite done. It's just kind of there. These tinted lip balms from Neutrogena, I think that's probably another thing I discovered through a teen magazine back in the day, but they still have them. They are fantastic. As far as other old school lip products that are still out there, my mind always goes back to the CoverGirl Outlast. They're still kicking, they work great. It's the OG liquid lipstick, but they put that comfortable top coat on it to make it approachable. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. This was a lot of fun for me to do. Let me know in the comments section all of the OG products that you remember, really old school at the drugstore, that are still being sold to this day. Let me know, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye.